I want to start by actually attacking the way history is taught in the United States. And the reason is because of the way we structure Western civilization courses. So if you take Western Civ 1 and Western Civ 2, the general idea, and most of the textbooks are set up this way, is that Western Civ 1 will cover everything till 1492 or 1648, whatever arbitrary year they picked to stop Western Civ 1. And then Western Civ 2 will be everything since 1648. So in other words, we're going to spend 16 weeks talking about the first 5,000 years of Western civilization. And then we're going to spend 16 weeks talking about the last 350, which is based on two really big flaws. The first is sort of a proximity bias. Because the last 350 years are closer to us, they therefore must be more important, which is definitely wrong. For example, the outcome of the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, I guarantee you, has way more impact on your day-to-day lives than the outcome of one of the British defeats, there were multiple, in Afghanistan in the 19th century. But the defeat in Afghanistan in the 19th century, was it in the last 200 years? The British have been beaten 4 times, 2 times in the 19th century. And so it's closer to you, but it has a much smaller impact than that event 2,000 years ago, the Battle of Actium. And so the first problem is this bias is wrong. The second problem with this bias is its racist implications. It is a profoundly racist bias because what it attempts to do is distill Western civilization into a history of how cool white people are, as opposed to actually looking at Western civilization for what it was, which was not a color-based endeavor. And if anything, it was founded by brown people. So then it's sort of an attempt by French, British, and English scholars to capture something that they didn't create, make it theirs, and then divorce it from its creators. And I can prove this to you, really simply, in fact. When you take that Western Civ 1 class, weeks 1 and 2 cover Mesopotamia and Egypt. In fact, your class is probably structured like this. Week 1 was Mesopotamia, week 2 was Egypt. Every professor is different, every university is different, but probably weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6 were Greece, and then maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 were Rome, and then 15 was the medieval period, which is 1,000-year span of time, covered in 1 week. And then week 16, the first part of the modern. So if they went to 1648, they went to that, right, in that last week. The reason why this is rooted in a profound form of racism is because of the following. The class admits that Western civilization was created by Iraqis and Egyptians. It starts in Mesopotamia and Egypt. It admits that. And then it pretends that Western civilization got up and ran away and began inhabiting Italy and Germany and England and never again ended up in the Middle East, which is preposterous because all the Middle East could ever do as the founder of Western civilization is simply evolve its Western civilization. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not like it could lose it. It just evolved differently than Italy or Germany or England. But it doesn't make it any less Western Civ. And so the way we teach Western Civ 1, where we do 1 week, maybe 2 weeks on the medieval period, actually takes this to the next level. Because I'm going to talk about an event that takes place in that. We act as if the medieval period, which we call the Dark Ages, only took place in Europe. And in fact, we've renamed the birthplace of Western civilization the Middle East, as if it's in the East, when it's clearly not in the East since it birthed Western civilization, right? And then we ignore everything that was happening in the Middle East during the medieval period. And let me just give you an idea of what was happening in the Middle East during the medieval period. So while Europeans had no indoor plumbing and no paved roads, and their life expectancy was 40, and the way they took care of their waste was they would do it in a chamber pot and fling it into the street, the Middle East had indoor plumbing that brought fresh water in and took sewage water out. The Middle East had streets that were lit up at night with oil lamps. In part because I want to set the mood, show you the technology that was available at the time, and then tell you why what follows